Hey there, everyone. That sexy nerd is back again, and we're here for Lord of the Rings Return of the King by Nostalgia Critic. Now, I am so happy he's finally doing my favorite Lord of the Rings movie ever. You know what? Honestly, I actually like that Rankin. No, wait, no. Is it Rankin Bass? Yeah, I think Rankin Bass, the Rankin Bass version of Return of the King. That was a continuation of the other two. That was it Rankin Bass or it was some other developer, I think. I'm not sure, but yeah, where there's a whip, psh, there's a way. I know it's dumb, but this was kind of what we had for a while. Yeah, but that movie's really dumb. But I kind of like it. I kind of like it a little bit better than the other Lord of the than the other two. The little the not the other two. The other version, the one that he covered. And I'm kind of wondering why he hasn't done that movie for Lord of the Rings month. I'm kind of curious, or at all. Why has he never done that movie? Because that movie is rife for him to make for stuff for him to make fun of. If he can make fun of that Jack and the Beanstalk, that weird anime of Jack and the Beanstalk, then he can do this. But whatever. I'm sure he's eventually saving it for something else. But anyway, this is my favorite Lord of the Rings movie. I've always loved this. It finally cemented my love because I was like, remember, as for with Fellowship of the Ring and the Two Towers, I was very skeptical. I was basically dragged to see Two Towers. I did eventually end up liking it, but I was like, yeah. At first, I was like, yeah, I don't want to see this. Like, the other one was boring, I mean, again, I didn't, I didn't hate it, but I was like, I didn't want to watch it. I'd rather watch something else. But then I saw Two Towers and I was like, okay, I like it. So by the time Return of the King came out, I was like, yeah, I'm excited for this shit. And boy, oh boy, did it like ever live up to this reputation. Some of the best fighting scenes, the whole thing with Rohan, the ride of the Rohirrim, it's one of my favorite movie moments of all time. It makes me cry every time. It might actually do that here. I don't know. But and it's really sad to know that Bernard died recently. He rest in peace, man. Like, I really did appreciate your performance. Like, I never noticed that he was the guy from Titanic. This whole time I never knew that he was on Titanic. But again, I never really liked that movie that much. I only watched it because everybody else was watching it, and I was like, I can't even get through this movie. Until like Jack and Rose meet up, and even then, it's only a half measure. There's nothing happening. Like, all they are is like, "Ooh, I'm in love." Ooh, icebreaker, die. By the time the iceberg comes, I'm like, but yeah, it's still again. That's another one that's an okay movie at the end of the day. Um, yeah. Other than that, like, there's so many quotes in this movie. Gollum finally coming to just embrace his villain side. It's so great to see. I love it because it was meant. That's always meant to be. Like, I'm like, I mean, I was even saying that in Two Towers. I'm like, why are we pretending that this guy is good? He's not. He's not good at all. And he finally showed his true colors in that movie. Just and again, the ending fight scene, I've never been more on my edge of my seat. Like, when they finally drop the ring into the lava, like, woof. Like, it's so exciting. Such an exciting, an amazing movie. One of my favorites, and I'm so excited for us to cover it this time. So let's get into it. And remember, please smash that like button if you want to see more sexy and nerdy content, and subscribe if you think I deserve it. And remember, sign up for my Patreon for all my latest reactions to all my latest videos. And again, I apologize for getting these out so late, but it's just been very busy, very occupied with other things. And if you want to support the channel, go to my Patreon, or please, or just watch more of my videos because I really need the support right now. And let's do this thing, y'all.
It's done. It's over now. The Lord of the Rings trilogy has come to an end.
But what about the Hobbit?
I'm glad to be here, at the end of all things.
How do you pick up the threads of an old trilogy? How do you act when in your heart you begin to understand the There's no going back.
Hey, what the hell? Didn't the narration start with me?
Yeah, but there's so much going on, people won't remember who started it.
Well, I know who's ending it. Me. Piss off.
But that's the thing, Critic. These are the endings.
What do you mean, these?
Lord of the Rings had 1,000,000 endings, so we should have 1,000,000 endings.
Yeah, everybody must know the outcome of every person that's ever had screen time in these reviews.
It occurred to me I never had a scene where I moved in slow-mo in the forest, like an angelic screensaver.
I suddenly realized I didn't file my taxes. So many questions. Does my crayfish count as a dependent?
It came to our knowledge that we
Yes!
haven't gotten married yet.
The chart says this is the most cost-effective way to work it into a review.
I always knew they were going to get married one of these days. They were the perfect couple. The absolute perfect couple.
I wonder
Ah!
if these endings
It's Tamara!
wasn't even in the original reviews.
Enough! Everybody knows this
Where
movie's
have you
endings
been?
go on way too long.
Yet somehow it didn't ruin the movie.
Everyone says the ending is the most important, yet this film is still regarded as a classic.
Nominated for almost as many Oscars as Amelia Perez.
Yeah. What?
That feels so wrong.
Because it is wrong.
So wrong.
Penis to vagina.
I guess that does make you realize what an impact this movie had on people, even with an ending that's far from perfect.
Yes! Yes! Love this movie
Return of the
so
King
much.
became the... Oh, hold on.
Stop the echoey.
There we go. Return of the King became the film everybody had to see.
Yeah.
The cast and crew were building up. This was the best of all of them, and at the time, it was hard for people to believe. Two Towers won so many over on so many different levels, it didn't seem possible to top. But as you probably guessed, this not only met the hype, but it surpassed it.
Yes, it
When
did.
fans would say Lord of the Rings is unfilmable, this is the portion they're usually thinking of. Giant ghost armies,
Really?
giant spiders, giant elephants. Even as far as special effects had come, nobody thought this could be done on the same scale as the books without eventually looking like Joshua and the Promised Land. Not only did we get effects that for over 20 years old still look pretty
Still
damn
look
amazing.
great.
But the wrapping up of one of the most expensive trilogies of all time actually followed through on still giving us a heartfelt and emotional conclusion.
Seriously.
Even if there were about 20 of them.
Who cares?
Almost 3.5.
I don't understand why he complains about that. I've never cared about the damn endings. I don't see why anybody has to complain. You're really wrapping up so much in these damn movies. Did you just, like, what? Did you just want one ending? What? Hey, let's end while they're still on Mount Doom for, why don't you? Stop complaining about the damn endings. It makes no sense. I've never understood why people complain about the ending. It's like, you spent 2.5 hours here. What's another half hour?
Half hours, the longest in the series. That was already pretty long. People constantly mock its length and too many endings, yet still praise it as one of cinema's most impressive achievements. So, what is it about this conclusion that won everybody over, even when it didn't win everybody over? Well, let's take a closer look. The rest of you, continue to end.
Man to woman or woman to man.
No, Malcolm! Don't give in!
But it's so cringy.
Don't worry, this review will give you your fix.
Nice. Let's take a look at The Return of the King. So we go from the most epic openings of all time to a tiny worm,
Yep.
which is also the title for one of the producer's biographies, as we get a flashback to Smeagol and Deagle finding the One Ring while fishing.
It was weird.
It's nice to see Serkis showing his real face in one of these movies, though I don't know what to think of him going in and out of the Gollum voice.
I know, right? And it always struck me as weird. I'm like, why are you still doing the Gollum voice when you're supposed to be normal? Like, you know, like nothing has happened to you at this point. Like, what? Did you really just want to hammer in the fact that you're Smeagol? Like, because you look like Gollum. I'm sorry. You can't tell me Andy Serkis doesn't look like Gollum.
Precious.
I just assume he sounded like that because he's been around for hundreds of years, but no, he's always sounded like a squeaky balloon with asthma.
No, and see, like, they even show that they're trying to still say that he didn't sound like that because when he goes, like, you know, that's how you could have explained the fact that he got the voice. No, they just wanted to because they thought everybody was stupid and they didn't realize that this is Gollum. Like, I mean, honestly, all you had to do was him going, "My precious," and that would have been enough for everybody to need all of it. And then you have the part where he's going, Gollum, like his evil side just taking over. That's what it is. That's what it is anyway. I don't know. It hasn't been like, it hasn't been that big of an issue, but still, it always bothered me.
He kills Deagle for the ring, and while the transformation over the years is wonderfully done,
It is.
It is weird it's not a flashback or a dream Gollum is having. Like Gandalf falling in Two Towers, yes, is a flashback, but it's a dream the main character is having. It's still part of the narrative, even if very loosely. This just comes out of nowhere and then cuts back to the story. If you were watching these back to back like one long film, it wouldn't really make sense.
I
It'd be
wish
like
it
if
was
the
a
movie
dream.
was interrupted to suddenly show us how Legolas figured out how to skate shield. Neat, but could tie into the storytelling a little better.
Yeah, probably.
As Sam and Frodo continue their journey, Aragorn and his team approach the now destroyed Isengard.
The salted pork is particularly good.
Salted pork.
And this is the film where Gimli's handled the best.
No,
On that note,
what?
don't let him and Treebeard talk. Might sound kind of weird.
This is the
There,
extended.
Saruman must remain.
Let's just have his head and be done with it.
No.
He's no power anymore.
I mean, what's he really done when you think about
It's
it?
ridiculous.
Again, I've gone on and on about how cutting Saruman from the film was a huge mistake.
Huge mistake.
What, everybody and their pumpkins gets a conclusion, yet one of your main villains isn't even allowed in the flick?
Actually, I feel like people would be a lot less angry about the fact if they, I mean, yes, I know I just went on a rant saying, like, shut up about the endings, but at the same time, if they did cut one of the endings and actually did put that, because that was one of the things that was pissed off. I'm like, what happened to Saruman? Like, did I just forget about him? And I remember, like, I was, like, saying that to my parents. My parents were like, But then I run into my friends. They're all like, yeah, what happened to Saruman? Like, did he just disappear from the movie? And then we heard, I remember it was, like, a couple years later or a little time later that where we got the extended edition. And we were all excited. We all went to go see it again.
You're 10 minutes in. People aren't going to get restless yet.
I know, seriously.
My bark.
Pippin discovers a device Saruman has been using to talk to Sauron called the Palantir, and they return to Rohan to hopefully fix the backwards chimneys.
What?
Pippin wants to see the shiny Palantir again, which, seeing how in the extended edition they show they smoked barrels of weed beforehand, that's not very surprising.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Sauron is on call waiting.
Saruman.
I mean, they look like they
turn into a mini Eric Idol.
Stop trying to make frame drops a thing. It'll never be a thing.
I know. Oh well.
You found a new hobby. So your personal info has found itself on some new sites. And what?
To be fair, I do like the frame drops in this movie sometimes. Like that scene, it's kind of effective, at least, and it's unique to the movie. It kind of gives the movie an otherworldly feel. Come on, you can't tell me that they're not effective in here sometimes. Let me know in the comments below.
Pippin says he saw a vision of a burning white tree, which Gandalf knows is a sign Gondor is about to be attacked.
Gondor.
He says Rohan should help, but Theoden is hesitant.
Tell me, why should we ride to the aid of those who did not come to ours?
Hey, don't do too much of the political talk or we'll become Game of Thrones. And I don't like what they could do with a brother and sister.
Oh, okay,
Gandalf takes
fine.
Pippin to Gondor to the city of Minas Tirith because Sauron now thinks he might have the ring. Meanwhile, the virgin Arwen is off to the Great Haven, and the vision shows her that if she stays, she'll give birth to Jesus. I mean, yeah, what other interpretation am I supposed to take from this imagery?
What are you talking about?
Your kid could become Christ in a series that already has a Christ.
I never thought of him as Jesus. What? You know, I'll say this now too. I remember when I was watching the movies, that's what I was saying. I was like, I wasn't as into these movies when they first came out, and it really sucks to say that. I mean, I do like that because now I adore these movies. But back then I was like, I don't know. But now I just became the biggest Lord of the Rings fan. But anyway, I will say this, like the whole Aragorn and what the fuck? Yeah, Aragorn and Arwen thing was always a it was always like parts where I was like most interested in the movie because like I love their story, and I remember like everything coming together on this part. It was I always was invested with these things, and they were never boring to me, and I liked it.
Saw there was a child.
Nothing is said. Except I exclusively do trilogies. She decides to stay behind as Gandalf doesn't even make it to Mount Wedding Cake, where the steward King Denethor, played by John Noble, has just discovered the death of his son, Boromir.
Perhaps you come to tell me why my son is dead.
Certainly, he did it. Pippin feels guilt about Boromir dying for him, so he pledges his allegiance to the king. Something Merry does for Theoden in the extended cut, which is another scene I feel should have been left in, like it shows them both stepping up.
Word has reached my ears of this Aragorn, and I tell you now, I will not bow to this ranger from the north.
While Denethor is acted well, there needed to be a bit more humanity to him.
Yeah,
I get it, he's an asshole, but the book showed he's also human. Like, I love the scene of him smiling while Pippin pledges his allegiance, getting some of the words wrong. He could be pissed off and say, no, you're doing it wrong, what's even the point of this? But it shows a more sympathetic side. Most of the time, though, he is the other way. He's always grumbling or screaming. Even the way he eats is douchey. I'm shocked they didn't show he had his own Palantir with Sauron manipulating him into his madness. Similar to how Wormtongue manipulated Theoden.
Didn't they do that in the book?
More than you know. For all your subtleties, you have not wisdom.
Everyone says he's supposed to be a Shakespearean tragedy, but if you don't see any decency from him, I don't see what's supposed to be tragic about it.
Okay, also, if they showed that they had a Palantir, though, how would they explain Saruman manipulating him when Saruman is supposed to be dead at this point? If that really happened in the books, then, because I don't remember, but if that really happened in the books, you know, it shows why they couldn't do something like that because they had already killed Saruman. Like, Saruman doesn't get killed in the books until the end, when the hobbits take back Hobbiton, because Saruman actually took it over. Like, yeah, if y'all don't know that, Saruman actually took over the Shire, and the hobbits had to literally kick him out with no other help from anybody else. It was crazy. It kind of made the story run on, though, and then he dies in a similar way as to the way he did in the movie.
It's so quiet.
It's the deep breaths before the plunge.
As they're told about the impending armies getting closer to Gondor. Fun note, this is how Jackson dresses every time he directs. So, to meet his Morgo protected by a statue of that weird thing from Spawn.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, a skybeam. Nobody recreated that for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I know, right?
Powerful, the Nine Riders, known as the Witch King, leads his army, which despite sensing the ring in the Shire when it's so close, somehow that just turns off when it's at his front door.
Yeah, I know, seriously.
And I know I already made a Weinstein joke, but this is totally him, right? If he was Sloth from Goonies.
The city is rank with it. The city is rank with it.
That's what Weinstein would say just walking through L.A.
Send forth all legions. What of the wizard? I will break him.
Why?
Another scene will weirdly cut out. Hey, at least you got a death sequence in the original cut.
Yeah, right.
The beacon of Amodine is lit!
I love the beacons.
Trilogy, a scene that wasn't a big deal in the books, suddenly becomes one of the coolest scenes in the movie.
Seriously!
And Gondor lights the beacon for it.
Thank you! I love this scene. That was where I was like, yeah, I was going, and again, I'll admit, I was going through this movie like, yeah, here we go, I just want to get to the battle. But then as soon as this came up, I was like, yeah, fuck yeah! And like, that's why I ended up liking this movie way more. I actually had to own it. Like, I didn't own the other two, I had to own this one, though.
Of all the Oscar nominations this film got, best cinematography was not one of them.
What?
Because, you know, blurry Maguire and horse asses is a lot more epic.
The beacons are lit! Gun knuckles for 8!
And Roland Valenza.
With a resounding no. Light the beacon of what have you done for us lately? Light the beacon of I came to your kids' birthday parties. Light the beacon of you got them a Furby as a present, that is so 1999. Yeah, maybe they should have done carrier pigeons. Faramir and his army are overpowered by orcs, but thankfully Gandalf not from the scene where he arrives at the city. Yeah, he just randomly brings Pippin to fight Nazgul with him all the time. Saves the day. Meanwhile, Gollum
That's right.
thinking Sam ate the last of the bread, and he's secretly trying to take the ring.
Dick.
Yeah, it's a little forced, but it does lead to some good acting.
Yeah, whatever.
He's poisoned you against me.
Go home.
The only thing I don't understand is you could have just had Sam show up later to save the day, like he's not gonna let Frodo down even when he tells him to leave. But instead they show later he finds the bread that Gollum threw out, like that's what inspired him to go back. What's the point? It would have been a better surprise if we didn't have that scene. What, was he just like, so I didn't eat it?
I do not think we should so lightly abandon the outer defenses. I will not yield the river in Pelennor unfought.
Things aren't much better in Minas Tirith as Denethor sends Faramir on a suicide mission to take back what the orcs have taken.
Faramir, do not throw away your life so rashly.
At least take Pippin with you.
Where does my allegiance lie if not here?
Father's will has turned to madness.
Well, you could always bring your staff. That seemed to scare him away. No, I'm just a conjurer of cheap tricks. You guys do the real work.
Can you sing, Master Hobbit?
Well enough for my own people, but we have no songs for great halls and evil times.
Our songs are mainly drunken slurs about how our piss misses the toilet. Again, during a time when people thought Two Towers was saying it was pro the Iraq War, this movie goes big time out of its way to make it clear that it's not pro-war and more pro-self-defense. Even if I swear it sounds a little like a pop song from time to time.
Through shadow, through the edge of night.
How can a song with no auto-tuning sound like there's auto-tuning? Meanwhile, the armies of Rohan make camp while Aragorn notices a very threatening path.
It is the road to the Dimhold. None who venture there ever return. That mountain is evil.
Perfect place to camp in front of. Eowyn and Merry, though, are both upset that they're not allowed to fight.
You should not encourage him.
Why should Merry be left behind? He has as much cause to go to war as you. Why can he not fight for those he loves?
I guess you're right. Could be worse. It could be a chick. But it looks like a stranger approaches them.
I come on behalf of one whom I love.
We've had this talk. I like ladies.
Arwen is dying.
So yeah, this gets
weird.
Nobody really knows what this random connection between Arwen and the ring is.
Yeah,
it looks
didn't
like she's
understand
sick and somehow destroying the ring will save her, I guess.
Arwen's life is now tied to the fate of the ring.
Why?
Now, you could make the argument that referring to her staying behind will eventually lead to her death, like it'll lead to everybody's death if the ring isn't destroyed.
Okay.
But if so, why isn't she there giving the sword? Why do they make it look like
great.
she's not well and she's on her deathbed? For a character that surprisingly did not feel shoehorned in before, she definitely does with this one. With that said, I love it when Elrond shows Aragorn's sword isn't a limp dick anymore and he seems to crazily get off on it.
The power of this sword can summon to him an army more deadly than any that walks this earth.
I'm so hard. Aragorn decides to convince the army of the dead to join their battle, but not before he brushes off these fangirls.
Oh, man.
If you come,
Do you not know?
I cannot give you what you seek.
It's not you, it's really you.
It's really you.
Her father isn't much better.
What other duty would you have me do, my lord?
I would have you smile again.
Come on, smile more. You're so pretty when you smile.
Oh.
Okay, I know what he's really trying to say, and it is noble. It's just unfortunate wording. At least he doesn't end with,
well, see you later.
Eowyn has to take matters into her own hands, though.
Ride with me.
Yes, my lord. I'm such an idiot.
Oh, well.
Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli go into the haunted house, where we get a pretty inventive ghost effect.
The way is shut. It was made by those who are dead.
You can usually see through ghosts in movies, but seeing all the way to their gum line? That's pretty unique.
I summon you to fulfill your oath.
That line was broken.
It has been remade.
The minute my foot connected with your ass! Denethor panics when he sees not only his other son has fallen, but basically all of Mordor is at his door.
Boy. Flee for your lives!
Yuck. Yuck.
Prepare for battle.
Badass.
No, on second thought, flee!
Flee for your lives.
Yuck. Yuck.
Prepare for battle.
No, on second thought, flee! Flee! He was right the first time, flee!
Jesus.
The battle from Minas Tirith begins, as even though it goes on for about 45 minutes, it is never boring.
Boring, never.
It has a good variety of attacks and enemies and effects and situations that keep building upon each other, and at the heart of it is people we really want to see win the day. He really did that. Ian McKellen's stunt double really did all those moves. Frodo, meanwhile, is having his own troubles as Gollum has led him to the lair of Shelob, a giant spider. I should point out a lot of the buzz around Shelob wasn't that high because of the trailer we saw. You see, for a while, this was all we saw of her.
Oh.
From that perspective, she looks like a Zelda minion. Nothing really that threatening. But luckily, the effects team put just as much effort into these effects as they did with the other effects, as I'm not afraid of spiders, but I am definitely afraid of this scene.
Yeah.
I am not joking when I say the
terrifying.
audience reaction every time I saw this was, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Yeah, I know, I know.
Oh my god, oh my god. Gollum betrayed him as, big surprise, he tries to take the ring. Into the pit of vagueness from Superman 2.
What happened there?
Spider does end up getting it though, just as Sam returns to fight her off.
I love this scene. One of the best fucking
The
scenes.
weirdest boner for you and James and the Giant Peach. Tell me if you've heard this in these films. Somebody's thought to be dead but isn't. Now don't freak out. Elijah Wood actually does sleep with his eyes open.
I mean,
this was your environment, wouldn't you? Let some orcs pick Frodo up, clarifying he's only stunned.
The scum will be awake in a couple of hours.
Then he'll wish he'd never been born.
Well, I'm the only one who's supposed to make him think that. The battle in Gondor isn't going much better.
No matter what comes through that gate, you will
stand your ground! He's like,
Thankfully, Rohan arrives to give assistance.
yes! Do no darkness! Oh, hey, no!
Am I the only one, by the way, who wanted to see this happen?
Oh my god.
Asshole. Don't worry though, Aramir gets another one mid-ride. Seriously, who's handing him that? And I think it's scientifically
He threw it up in the air!
It doesn't go hard.
What are you talking about?
Seriously, who's handing him that? Asshole.
Hang on.
Don't worry though, Aramir gets another one mid-ride. Seriously, who's handing him that? And I think it's scientifically proven that if some part of you doesn't go hard while watching this, you're clinically dead.
Bullshit. What? Wait, what?
Some part of you doesn't go hard. The one mid-ride? Seriously, who's handing him that? And I think it's scientifically proven that if some part of you doesn't go hard while watching this, you're clinically dead.
Yes, I love it!
This is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
I know, seriously.
Even if upon rewatch, Mary Mannequin is a little distracting. How did I never notice that before?
Whatever.
Bring wood and
bullshit.
oil.
Meanwhile, Denethor goes crazy and tries to burn both him and Faramir, who is still alive.
Set a fire in our flesh.
Are you sure we get to burn our boss alive?
Seems too good to be true.
How do we know this isn't a test so we can fire the ones who do and give a raise to the ones that don't?
That'd be great.
Pippin saves Faramir. Again, good redemption seing how Boromir saved him.
Yeah, right.
But Gandalf's like, I am done with this other guy. Again, this movie has a talent of taking that looks pretty funny to suddenly that is the most awesome thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, the Oliphants arrive.
Ew.
Really the most imaginative name Tolkien could come up with?
Oh,
And
whatever.
being hands down the best part of the movie. Fudgesicles.
Reform the line! Reform the line!
Popped up. I thought to myself, are we really so lucky to live in a time where
Yes.
we get to see this?
Yes!
Giant Hortons in war paint squashing an army like little green soldiers. This dude knows he's in the best scene in the movie. I love this guy. He's like, you brought a horse to a 10-story elephant fight. Silence for my favorite throwaway character.
Who was literally thrown away.
Things aren't looking good for Gandalf and Pippin either.
I didn't think it would end this way.
End? No, the journey doesn't end here.
They'll torture us, burn us, cut off anything that won't kill us, but still result in a huge amount of pain. What's your point? My point is I'm afraid, Pippin.
Love this movie.
Count the applause moments, audience. Right on cue, right at the point they're supposed to. There's Eowyn beheading
yes, yes.
protecting her father.
Yes.
Okay, I'll say it. That's what Sauron should have looked like.
Yeah.
Just the perfectly timed arrival of Aragorn hopping out of the orc ships, pulling off the same trick Gandalf did from Two Towers, almost forgetting he was even in the movie.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
There's Eowyn's great comeback when the Witch King says no man can defeat him.
I'm no man.
You see? Everything, that's how it's done.
Yeah. It really is.
There's Legolas literally taking out an Oliphant all by himself, which is so goddamn silly, but it guides you through its goofy reasoning just enough where you're able to go, screw it, that's just badass.
That still only counts as one.
Even the lame Gimli line sounds cool after all that.
Oh, yeah.
Eowyn has to say goodbye to her father, though, who in the book had a bit more tragedy as he didn't know it was Eowyn who saved him, but I do like this callback to the previous film.
Oh.
I know you're
Yeah.
Grimer, you do care. Tell your sister you were right. Yeah, who isn't gonna think back to that line?
Yeah, right.
Aragorn releases the ghost as he gave his word he would. He could have originally made the deal to save Middle-earth and not just Gondor. Well, in Mordor, Sam makes his way to free Frodo. Maybe a little too easily. Okay, the orcs and Uruk-hai really don't like each other, I guess. Give it to me. Sam's hesitance to hand the ring over is a great way to emphasize again, really nobody is free from its corruption.
Seriously, look
it's
at
a
him.
brief moment, but it's so effective because it's with this character.
Because you're like, at this point, you're like, nothing can touch Sam. This guy's indestructible. Like there's nothing stronger than him. But then when he falters and given the ring, you're like, oh shit. Everybody, I think everybody I've seen his reaction always goes like, ooh. But there's a lot of scenes in that movie where they go, ooh.
Go walking through Mordor and not but your skin.
Okay, movie, now you're trying to make people like me tell jokes. Aragorn suggests one last push at the gates of Mordor to allow Frodo one last chance to destroy the ring. This leads to another scene that should have been left in with the Battle of Sauron, not just because the scene looks really awesome, but because they give the impression to them that Frodo is dead.
Know that he suffered greatly at the hands of his host.
Which gives this line an incredibly different meaning.
For Frodo.
Seriously.
In the original cut, it's like, yeah, we know, that's why we're here. But in the extended version, they think they've lost, so they're doing one last charge in Frodo's memory.
Okay, but at the end of the day, too, I never got that impression, like, we know, we did. Like, no. I felt like it was like, no. I felt it's had a decent impact in the original cut because, he's like, for Frodo. Because at the end of the day, you're fighting to keep, for hope, and to keep that hope alive. And Frodo is your only hope. I mean, it's a little bit too Star Warsy, but there you go.
It changes a lot. But if an elf and a dwarf can learn to get along.
I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about
side by side with a friend?
You know any? Sam tries to give Frodo the strength to carry on as he continues to fade.
Do you remember the Shire, Mr. Frodo? The orchards will be in blossom. And they'll be sowing the summer barley in the lower fields.
And you'll be in your summer dress.
No veil between me and the way of fire. Naked in the dark.
No need to bring up last Tuesday. Frodo does end up making it to the fires of Mount Doom. However, the power of the ring finally consumes him.
Yeah. The ring is mine.
The ring is mine.
To ask you, Sam, will you marry? Oh! Gollum attacks and bites Frodo's finger off, and as they fight, they both get tossed.
I love that.
There is something funny for as much as people were won over by Gollum, his exit is like, and he's basically Photoshop erased from the movie. We'll see what his kids look like in the future.
Give me your hand!
No, the one with more fingers! Sam saves Frodo, the ring is destroyed, Sauron goes boom, the war is over, but our two leads are left behind.
I can see the shine. Rosy cotton dancing. If ever I was to marry someone, it would have been her.
And Frodo's like, damn it! What? He looks over like, I wanted to be the one you married, Sam. I'm leaving Middle Earth. That's the real reason why he left, is because he got married to Rose. He thought he was going to have his Sam forever.
Frodo's like, really?
I know, right? Seriously?
Huh, really? And okay, this is where the onslaught of endings start. And as a rule, I think you're allowed one fake out.
Oh my god.
When this Fade to Black happened, some people actually started applauding, like that might be it. But then we fade back and see the eagle save them. Okay, that's all right.
Yeah.
But then we get the moment that, let's face it, has been memed to death at this point. Gandalf? So I died. Because as far as I know, you're still dead. Oh, you're all dead! Wonderful! We were all a disappointment. What the hell were we thinking, walking the ring into Mordor? We had eagles right there! And yeah, Gandalf's laugh in slow-mo is basically the devil's laugh, right? We're given, let's be honest, a curtain call for most of these characters as we get another fake-out blackout. Again, people started applauding, but the film kept going. Singer, King, these two become an item off screen, and reunite with Arwen. Beautiful. This is still your horrific future, but beautiful. I will say, though, this scene is so good, I'm surprised it wasn't in the book.
I know.
To no one.
I know. I love this scene. It gives me hope in humanity.
As your new rulers, we order all your shins to be chopped at the knees. We're gonna be hate communists. We get yet another fake out where audiences started applauding as we cut to a map. It turns out that was just leading us to the Shire, where we see how the hobbits live out the rest of their days.
Get out of here. I think you're the only one.
Frodo is still like, really? Rosie Cotton, a woman?
Pick up the threads of your own life. How do you go on?
I don't know. You're doing a pretty good job right now.
I know.
Frodo finds the wound from the knife is still with him, and even after finishing his book,
The Lord of the Rings.
That's the name of the movie. He decides to go with the elves and Bilbo to the Grey Havens.
You can't leave. The last pages are for you, Sam.
And so is this awkward as hell smile. A smile that says, it's not a cult. It's not a cult. We get yet another fake out audiences accidentally applaud at.
What?
And finally, the story ends with Sam and his family.
I'm back.
I wish I was gay. So, okay, all these endings by themselves are fine, especially for wrapping up three very long movies. It's just the way they're paced together that doesn't work. I think that's why it bothered so many people, but it was nowhere near ruining the movie for anyone.
Nobody.
Because, yeah, Return of the King is still easily the best one.
Oh, yeah.
Of course,
Absolutely.
there's issues like with any of them. Like, I would have enjoyed if Aragorn had a few more kingly things to do to build up his role. And sure, there's little tidbits in the extended edition that should have been left in.
Yeah.
But this movie is amazing.
Masterpiece.
A fantastic way to end an epic trilogy. It opened the doors for more movies to be shot back to back, yet, as far as I know, the world of Tolkien is the only mainstream universe to do 3 movies at the same time. It's an amazing gamble with amazing talent that thankfully led to an amazing achievement.
I don't know. Didn't they do that with the Hunger Games movies or the Harry Potter? No, not even the Harry Potter movies. No, just the Hunger Games movies. Didn't they make like 2 at the same time or something? I don't know. Who cares? It's Lord of the Rings, baby! Oh.
And that's it. That's the end of the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Really?
Where's the Hobbit?
It's over?
Oh.
Ooh.
Wait! We forgot to review The Hobbit.
Oh, we can't end the month without talking about...
Hey, where'd he go?
Yeah.
Hey, where'd the movie go?
Yeah, he's probably burning it.
I'm Jim. Good for you.
Yeah. Knew it! I knew it!
Critic! Don't do it!
But the trilogy is too good, we can't have this destroy it!
But think of it.
Actually, I got nothing.
Yeah.
Think of the suffering,
People love to see you suffer.
Yes.
For suffering, for comedy, for cringe!
The Hobbit is mine.
All right.
Yeah. This is not a Lord of the Rings month. It's a Lord of the Rings marathon. So, are we going to do the other Hobbit movies? Who knows? I'm really interested to hear what he's going to say about that. He's going to bitch so hard, really. Like, honestly, and rightfully so, because a lot of these movies, they made a lot of mistakes. I mean, again, I don't understand the significance of, hey, this movie is shot in 60 frames per second. Who the fuck cares? It didn't look any different when I saw it. Like, honestly, the only thing, it just looked more like a freaking cartoon because of the fact that, like, oh, hey, yeah, there's just, there's just so much more CGI here. It's like, you know, seriously, if you want to do that, why don't you just reanimate it? Like, I know there's an animation one from the 70s, but, like, you know, you should have just made a hand-drawn animation by this point. Like, seriously, the CGI was... I like those movies personally, but I really wish Peter Jackson worked on the movies a lot harder. Like, as passionately and as hard as he did on Lord of the Rings. It's a real shame. It really is. But anyway, let me know about what you think in the comments below. And please smash that like button if you want to see more sexy and nerdy content. And subscribe if you think I deserve it. And remember, sign up for my Patreon for all my latest reactions to all my latest videos. And I'll see y'all in the next episode.